Thank you, Rabbi Klein. So the topic for today is my father, the judge, and basically. So, any lawyers here? No lawyers. Okay, good. So, I don't know what your experience is with law, but I had none. And this story goes back a couple of years, where my wife was driving in the city, and one day she was switching lanes, and she ended up side-swiping another car.
It's her fault.
It was her fault. And but the guy was very, very upset about his car, and long story short, we ended up getting notice that he's suing us for that he's for medical damages, because he was injured very badly. He wasn't injured. You know what I'm talking about. You've been through this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my first experience at small claims court. So he sued me because my name was the first name on the registration, and I had never been to court in my life. Thank God. Anybody, you've been to court? You know what I'm talking about? So, okay, good. So then it's an amazing experience. We're going to talk about it today. It's lovely. So I walked into court. I was, and beforehand, in preparation for this, it was a small claims court case. It wasn't anything major. It was under $10,000, whatever it was. So so it was small claims. So the insurance company said to me, they had taken a statement from him at one point, taken a statement from us, and then when he ended up suing us, so they said, we can't represent you. You have to represent yourself, but we're going to give you everything you need so that you can be able to do the best representation for yourself. And they mailed me this huge packet with transcripts about their interview with him and pictures of the intersection and the location and all sorts of different, and it was a nice big thick packet. And the day comes, I get to represent my wife and to go to small claims court. And I walked in, I had no idea what I was doing. I came inside, and if you know how small claims court works, if you don't, you're going to learn right now. So basically, you sit down, and there's many, many other people just like you, and you're all sitting there together, and you're waiting for instructions. And then they basically, at a certain point, they gave us instructions, and they told us what the process was going to be. And they said, first thing you do is you go outside, and you meet with the other party, and you share what you're going to be presenting.
Discovery.
Huh? Discovery. Oh, we have a lawyer here? A paralegal. Okay. So we come outside, and it was very awkward. I wasn't expecting this. And so he comes over to me, and he says, "Oh, I don't think I recognize you." I said, "Yeah, it was my wife, whatever." So he's like, "Yeah." So I said, "So what do you have?" So he hands me a doctor's 2-page letter saying that he has some type of medical thing, and that therefore we owe him like $6,000 or something to recover from it. And then I handed him this packet, and he starts flipping through the packet, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." So I said, "Yeah, it's pretty serious, So in any case, it was okay. We're done, and everybody heads back inside to come back inside of the courtroom. And so then I walked over. So there was this lady who was working for the court, and she was just like looking at things and stapling. I was like one of the. I think I went to the restroom or something. Yeah, I don't know what it was. She was looking at different stuff, and so so I came over to her and I said, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" She said, "I'm not allowed to give legal advice." I said, "No, I'm not looking for legal advice. I just want to understand. It's my first time in court. Could you just explain to me the process of what I'm not 100% clear. How much time will it take, and what should I expect?" And so she says, "Well, let me see your case." And she looks at the case, and she says, so she proceeded to give me legal advice, and she said, you weren't served. She said, "Why are you even here?" I said, I don't know. I got a notice from the insurance company that I was being sued, and today I'm supposed to represent myself. She said, "You're not responsible to be here today. You weren't served officially." I'm like, "Okay, so what do I do now?" So she said, "Okay." She said, "I'll tell you what." She said, "Go back inside of the court. I'm gonna put your case was actually one at the bottom of the pile, but since I see you weren't really supposed to be here, I'm gonna put you towards the top of the pile. You're going to be called in within the next 5 minutes. I'm going to give your case to the judge. in the next couple of minutes, and you just explain, and the judge will already know that you're not really supposed to be here and that you weren't served officially, and then we'll take it from there. I said, okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Now, I have to tell you, the first time I walked into the courtroom, it was really scary. There's like a heaviness in the room. If you've never been inside of a courtroom, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you've been in there, there's like this weight in the air. It was amazing. And I was actually thinking about the fact that, like, wow, this is like what judgment is about. And like, we were actually a few weeks before Rosh Hashanah then as well when I came, and it was at the same time of year. Anyway, but the second time I walked back in the courtroom, it was a completely different experience. I knew exactly what to expect. I knew exactly what was about to happen. And lo and behold, and I felt just this weight lifted off of me. The difference between the first time I walked in the courtroom and the second time I walked in the courtroom was a completely different experience. I sit down and I wait a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden, they called one person, they called another, very quick thing, and then they called me. And I got up, and I stood by the defendant side, and he stood by the plaintiff, and he starts, and the judge looks at the case and says, the next case is between this person and this person, and the judge says, you weren't served. I said, yeah, I wasn't aware. So the judge says to the plaintiff, you had to serve the papers. This is not even allowed to be heard, this case. So he said, I didn't know. I was told. So she says, no. She said, you have to serve the papers, and then we'll schedule a thing. But this, I'm going to put this off, for a couple of weeks. So I said, okay. Well, I said, I'm sorry. That was another thing. I'm sorry. When I was outside with the lady, I had said to her, I said, so she said, we're going to push it off. I said, well, when will we push it off? She said, probably like 2 or 3 weeks. I said, well, Rosh Hashanah is coming, and it's a Jewish holiday, and I'm not going to be available if it's that week that she was telling. So she says, no, the judge is Jewish also. Don't worry. So I forgot to tell you that part. So I'm standing there now. I'm in the courtroom, and the judge starts talking, and the judge says, "Okay, you're going to reschedule. We're going to push it off for a couple of weeks." I said, "Okay." So I said, "But I said Rosh Hashanah is coming, and I just want to make sure it doesn't get scheduled by Rosh Hashanah or by Yom Kippur because I'm Jewish." She said, "No, I'm Jewish too. Don't worry about it. That's fine. We'll schedule it for the following week, October 15th or something." I said, "No, that's the holiday of Sukkot." She said, "What's Sukkot?" So I said, well, it's this holiday. She goes, forget it. It's a fine. Okay, we'll schedule in November. I said, yeah, okay. She said, okay. We schedule for November. You have to serve a case. Okay. And we walk out, and this guy is like bewildered, and I walked out together with him, and we both we walked over to the elevator together. And as we're going down in the elevator, he looks at me and he says, I'll tell you the truth. I don't feel comfortable about this whole thing. I said, what do you mean? He said, the truth is, I don't know how strong of my case that I have. I see that you have this whole packet, and I don't really know if I have a cousin of mine who told me that I should do this because, take advantage of the opportunity. If there was an accident. But he's like, I don't know if I'm having second thoughts. I said, well, I do want you to know that I'm planning on counter-suing you in the process if you do sue me because, I'm going to find, So he says, you know what? I think I want to dismiss the case. So I said, if you want to, you don't have to. I'm ready to go to court with you. He's like, no. He's like, no, I think so. So we come downstairs and we walk over to one of the court clerks, and I said, I said, I'm sorry, he wants to dismiss the case. Where do we go? And she said, go over to that room over there. They'll help you. So they come inside, and the lady says to him, you want to dismiss the case? And he said, yeah, I want to dismiss the case. And she says, so there's two options, some of you may know. One is to dismiss it with the options to still open up a new case again for the same reason. Another one is where you say you want to dismiss it and never ever sue for damages for this case. So he says, no, I want to do the second one. I never want to have anything to do with this case ever again. I said, okay, you don't have to. He's like, no, I want to. I said, okay. So he signed over the documents, and we walked out of the courtroom, and I said, why did Hashem give me this great story? So I thought about it, and I think it was really an amazing experience. I thought about it because imagine if you went to court and the experience that I had before I realized that the judge was Jewish and already knew what was about to happen was a completely different experience to the after the new information that I had. And I realized that Hashem does the greatest chesed for us every single year. Because Hashem is judging the world. This is the time of year, this is the creation of man, and every year there's a reassessment and an analysis. But all people in the world are being judged. The guys who are surfing at the beach on Rosh Hashanah are still being judged. They just don't know it. There are people, all the different nations of the world, everything is being judged. Who's the president going to be? How's the economy going to turn out? And obviously what's going to happen in Eretz Yisrael and its neighbors. So many things are being decided. Will Mashiach be coming this coming year? Possibly. Never in the, just a side, the Yalkut Ruveni talks about the preparation before the final war, before Mashiach comes, and describes the king of Persia threatening the entire world and Eretz Yisrael. And for thousands of years, people are reading this midrash, and people are saying, "Oh, maybe Mashiach's going to come." When these different experiences that have happened. I'm sure there are people who always said it's not possible. There's Yalkut Ruveni that says before it happens, the king of Persia has to threaten the world, and that's not happening. The Crusades, come on, this is the time. The Holocaust, so many time periods. People were like, "Oh, now probably Mashiach is coming." But do you realize that we're living right now in a time where for the first time in 2,500 years, Iran attacked Israel? That's crazy. That's crazy. We're living in the times that the Midrash is exactly talking about. This is no more those guys who are the very Mashiach guys. Oh, Mashiach's going to come. Oh, now it's oh my goodness, this is crazy what's going on. So everything is being decided, and all these nations are being judged, and nobody has any idea that they're being judged. And just like our court stenographer helped me out over there and let me know the inside story, Hashem gives us the inside story. And he says, listen guys, I have to judge the world. There are billions of people in the world, and I have to judge them. That's part of what Rosh Hashanah is about. But you're my children. So don't play games. Listen, don't be disrespectful. Come into the courtroom and think, if you start laughing in the courtroom, even if you're the son of the judge has to be tough. The judge is not going to be able, you're going to destroy the whole decorum of the courtroom. You have to be respectful of the courtroom. It's no joke. But he says, listen, let me tell you some tips. Okay? Just like my friend gave me some tips. And he says, here's what I need you to do. Imru lefanai malchiyot. You're going to say psukim about the kingdom of Hashem that's being crowned on this day. Say psukim about zichronot, sheta'ala zichronechem letova, so that your remembrance will be for good. I'll remember you for the good. And blow the shofar and say psukim about the shofar. And when I hear the sound of the shofar, and I remember the tremendous sacrifice that Avraham, who waited for so many years for a child, would take his own son and sacrifice him, be willing to sacrifice him for Hashem, for his love for me, I'm going to get up from the throne of judgment and I'm going to sit on the throne of mercy. And all of a sudden, we get all this inside information, and now we come back into the courtroom. And we're standing in front of Hashem, and now same courtroom, sitting there, same people sitting around me. But now all of a sudden, I'm not afraid. Be respectful. No games, no jokes. It's serious business. But we have a Father who's the judge, and He's telling us the secrets about how to be able to win the case. So we do something crazy. And even though the Gemara tells us that even though normally a person if they're coming to a capital case for their lives, they would come covered in black clothing, and they would be disheveled. They wouldn't know how to be able to prepare themselves. They would turn themselves in crying, mourning. But the Gemara tells us that no, we do the opposite. We wear freshly laundered clothing, and we shave, and we take haircuts, and we do everything, and we shower, and we bathe, and we get ready. Why? Bituchim sheya'aseh lehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu next. We have bitachon